Get up and brush off the dew on that turf today. Turf today. Turf today. Cut it and roll that dew on that turf today. Turf today. Turf today. Set up, they about to come through on that turf today. Turf today. Turf today. Get up. Turf today. Get up. Turf today. Let's get out the way. Here comes first play. Let's maintain that turf today.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Turf Today. My name is Adam Kershane, joined by Brian Laurent. And this week, we're joined by Scott Bordner, the Director of Agronomy for the Union League of Philadelphia, one of the most respected organizations in that region. Scott oversees multiple properties and programs, and he's deeply involved in giving back to the industry through initiatives like the Super Scratch Foundation and its annual golf tournament. We talk about the importance of connecting with the next generation, from visiting schools to speak with students about careers in turf, to bringing his own kids to the golf course in the evenings to share the experience firsthand. Scott also gives us a look into the exciting projects underway at the Union League and what it takes to manage agronomy at this scale. It's a thoughtful and inspiring conversation with someone who's helping grow the future of the game, both on and off the course. All right, let's dig into this thing. As you guys know, Turf Today is recorded on the Superintendent Network and is brought to you by Toro. Water. It's the lifeblood of the game, the unseen force that transforms fairways into carpets, greens into glass, and roughs into playable ground. But water alone isn't enough. It takes precision, control, and innovation to deliver it exactly where it belongs. That's where Toro Irrigation stands apart. From cutting-edge sprinklers to intelligent control systems, Toro brings superintendents the power to master water like never before. Reliable, efficient, unmatched. Because every drop matters, every swing deserves perfection, and every course deserves the best. Toro. Always solving. Always evolving. You're rocking the Super Scratch hat today.
Going Super Scratch, gonna suck up to our guest.
Yeah, we'll definitely be talking to him about that because that's a big one.
Yeah, got to get my game ready. I got to play, and they're doing a little partner day on Wednesday, so the day before the actual Super Scratch Invitational. So I'm gonna go out and play in their partner scramble with a couple guys and
Nice.
have a little fun. Yeah,
It's good that they do that. It's like having a little pro-am before a real tournament.
It is. Yeah, they put on a great event. That invitational event is fantastic. They'll like I said, so Wednesday is kind of the partner day, and so some of the corporate partners get paired up with a couple superintendents and do a little scramble over at Liberty Hill, which is one of the Union League courses in Philly. And then Wednesday night they do a great reception where the players will come in, so the amateurs and superintendents, and they've got a guest speaker. They do a guest speaker every year. I think last year was Darren Brevard from the USGA. This year is Tyler Ray, golf course architect. They do a great event, and then Thursday is the big golf invitational where they raise a ton of money for student scholarships. So I think talking to one of their board members, they're planning to give away $150,000 this year.
Wow.
So yeah,
That's a big one.
it's a big deal. So can't wait to talk to our friend Scott Bordner, who's coming on here today, about it and talk about the evolution of that, because it's pretty impressive how that thing's been able to grow the last couple of years, and mutual partners with Toro. Toro is one of their big supporters. I think it started out, they gave maybe 2 grand, 5 grand, I don't know, something small their very first year, which was only 5 years ago. And now they're giving away 150 grand and getting ready to
Crazy.
expand all over the country. So yeah, it's awesome. I'm pumped. It's one of those, the We One Foundation and Super Scratch are the two that I really hang my hat on as far as uh, industry organizations that really do a lot of good for this profession and ultimately the people in the profession. The We One giving money to the people that need money for because of medical reasons, and then Super Scratch obviously looking to get more people into the industry by giving away some scholarship money. So uh, yeah, some great things being done to support the people.
I think the Super Scratch is so cool how you have the tournament and you have the foundation. You're able to raise so much money, raise so much awareness, help these kids out going to school. And then
Yeah.
you have this tournament, which is also, I think you qualify for it. So they have qualifying events and then you get to go to the actual invitational.
They're starting to do that. So they had their first event outside of Philadelphia. They had it back in March out at PGA West, and
Nice.
that served as a qualifier. So I think a couple teams, the top 5 teams, maybe earned a spot into the Invitational. Next year, though, is when they're going to start. They're expanding, I think, to 4 or 5 events, I think, on the calendar right now. And I believe those are going to be kind of qualifiers into the Invitational. So the Invitational just started out. And then I'll backtrack. My favorite thing about the Super Scratch Foundation is that it is driven by club members. It's driven from outside of our industry, which is something we've needed for a very long time. So amateur golfers were looking to, and we'll dive into it more with Scott here, but amateur golfers were looking for a new competition. And I don't know how exactly it came about, but basically they created an event where a top amateur player partnered with their golf course superintendent. They did this invitational at Huntington Valley, and it became Super Scratch. And ultimately, what it did was helped raise awareness for the need for people in getting into turf grass maintenance. Most average club members have no clue that there's a shortage of people looking to get into this industry, that turf programs have been decreasing or were decreasing in enrollment for a very long time. That assistant positions, intern positions, AITs, all those positions, a lot of them have gone unfilled. So they're looking to raise money to make sure that money is not an issue for someone not to go and pursue this career. So they have those resources to be able to get that education and ultimately protect what they like to do, golf, right? I mean, no superintendents, no golf courses. So by creating this and helping students go get their education in turf grass maintenance, turf science, agronomy, whatever it may be, they're ultimately investing in the game that they love and making sure that, people are there that are qualified to take care of the golf courses that they like to play. So it's a really cool organization. They like to use Evan Scholars as almost I wouldn't say comparison, but as an example. They Evan Scholars raise how many millions of dollars a year for caddies, but those caddies then go on to get business degrees or whatever else, and they get outside of the industry. So Super Scratch is going to raise money to help keep people in the industry, which is great. Obviously clubs need members too, so it's nice that Evan Scholars does that. But again, being able to help provide money to make sure kids can stay in this business, can get their degrees, and these clubs can have qualified superintendents is awesome. So yeah. So we'll
Yeah.
dive more into that with Scott because he's definitely much more knowledgeable on it than I am, and he loves to talk about it. He loves to tell the story, and yeah, just excited he's coming on to talk a little bit about himself because he's got a great background and got a very unique situation with his job, and then kind of dive more into this organization as well.
100%. And I know there is a lot of opportunity right now. So being able to create these types of things and push these events is huge. I know one of the things you and I were talking about this morning, actually, before jumping on the call, was just about some of the other opportunities now that are coming up because of some of the guys and girls losing their jobs in the industry.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough time of year. This time of year kind of reminds me of Black Monday in the NFL, when the last week of the season's over and the next thing you know, all these college coaches are out of a job. Right now uh, just hearing too many guys getting let go, and it's rough. It's a tough industry. Sometimes you're the winner, sometimes you're the loser, and unfortunately, a lot of it seems very weather dependent. And we've talked about it on the show a lot before, but just can't stress it enough how important communication is with your membership. Make sure that when times are good, when times are bad, you're out there and you're talking to members about it. Because I think some of this stuff could potentially be avoided if club decision makers understand what's going on, the challenges you're facing, though the fact you're probably not the only one in the industry facing those challenges. But yeah, just a tough time of year to see really good guys be shown the door. And if there's anything we can do, if you're in that position and you're listening to the show, if there's anything we can do, whether it's being another year on the ground, kind of on the lookout for other opportunities and whatnot, don't hesitate to reach out.
There's only so many people working in this industry, and there's thousands and thousands of golf courses. So it's always tough hearing that somebody gets let go, and a lot of these people are great people. So it
Oh,
probably has nothing to do with them. It's just the expectations of the course, things not working out. But as we always talk about on the show, there's always another opportunity, and you learn from your mistakes, you move on, you work your network. As long as you're a good person, you work hard, you're going to land in a great spot, and maybe you'll look back a year from then and say, well, this actually was better for me. So I'm glad it worked out
yeah.
this way.
Yeah. That's it. Things, I'm a big believer in things happen for a reason. And I know it's always tough. I've lost jobs in the past. I know it's always tough when that happens. But it gets better. You find that next opportunity. Sometimes you have to take a step back, hell, we talked to Phil Kafari about it, right? I mean, his situation was a little different, but his golf course went bankrupt and he decided the best thing for him was to take a step back. He went and took a job at Oak Hill under someone he considered a very good mentor for him, and at a golf course that was along the lines of where he wants to be, and it worked out, so
Now look at him,
yeah, now
right?
look at him, yeah, he's got multiple USGA championships and all sorts of stuff. There he is.
How we doing, guys?
What's up,
Scott.
Scott? How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
We're doing really well. You at home knocking this out? Are you in an office or what?
Yeah, I can't be in the office. It's too
Too much
Too
stuff
Too
going on.
popular.
the cubicle is too small.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the show, man. I appreciate you coming on and doing this.
Yeah, my lighting in here isn't very good though.
I was going to ask if you had a rough night, if you're trying to keep the room dark.
No, but I got my head shaved because the
Ooh.
Phillies had a better record than the Cubs this year, so the assistants got to shave my head last week
Ooh.
for the member guest.
It's kind of
Ooh.
fun. There's a little camaraderie there.
Oh, it was everybody against me, that's for sure. Living near Philadelphia, I didn't have a whole lot of sympathy votes.
I didn't see any social media posts of that. There's got to be some stuff circulating.
Oh, there's a video. I put it on social media.
Did you? Oh, I've got to
You
check.
missed that one.
I did. Oh, it's a good thing that things posted on the internet live forever. So I'll track
Yeah,
that
we'll
one
have to
down
dig that
for
one
sure.
up.
But the Cubbies they're still going hard, right? I mean, they're in the playoffs and everything, aren't they?
Yeah, not looking good, but they're down
No?
2-1.
Who are they playing?
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. Okay. Yeah, it tells
It's
you
like
how
a
much
suburb of
Milwaukee's-
Chicago, basically.
It is. Yeah. Is Milwaukee usually seen as like little brother of the Cubs or what?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
at least in my mind.
We don't have any listeners in Milwaukee, so you're safe. Just kidding.
I always
You'll hear
thought the
from-
big rivalry down there was the White Sox, but it might be the Brewers, eh?
Cardinals are number one. Milwaukee is probably number two.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
Yeah,
The
because
White
the White
Sox are
Sox
just
they play in a different division, don't they?
yeah, and
Different
Yeah.
league.
They do their own thing. Yeah.
they're kind of terrible.
They have been for a long time too. So the only time I remember them is when they had Frank Thomas, and now the only thing he's known for is Nugenics commercials. So I think it's okay.
Is that the Big Hurt?
Big Hurt? It's
Yeah.
the man. Yep. Yep.
Right
Back in
on.
the day, the Big Hurt, and then Andre Dawson, the Hawk, lighting it up for the Cubbies. Those were the days, man. Those were the days.
That's what my dog's name is Dawson, and people are like, "Oh, what's your dog's name?" And I'm like Dawson, and half the people are like Dawson's Creek.
Oh, come on. Get it together.
Santo got vetoed by my wife, so
No Sandberg. You weren't going to name him Ryan or anything.
no,
It just
R.I.P.
didn't flow as well as
R.I.P.
Dawson.
No,
Yeah, no, I love it. Well, Scott, again, thanks for coming on the show. We always like to start things off here by giving you the floor for a minute and just go ahead and tell us who you are.
yeah. So my name's Scott Bordner. I'm the director of agronomy for the Union League of Philadelphia. I've been here 6 years and built national from the ground up, and now we have some cool projects coming on at Torresdale and Liberty Hill, and some exciting things happening as different foundations got some work with the First Tee of Philadelphia, trying to help grow the industry and grow our teams. And yeah, we're having fun out here.
So
Right on.
Union League's pretty unique. Tell our audience a little bit more about what Union League is.
So the Union League of Philadelphia was based on the social club downtown. So it was founded actually during the Civil War to support Abraham Lincoln and the views of the North. So they would gather down there, raise money for the troops. They were doing training and just trying to spread the word about what the Union was doing. So there's a Union League of Chicago, there's a Union League of New York. There was different ones in different cities throughout the North. And when the war ended, they kept it as a social club downtown. 10 years ago now, they bought Torresdale as the Union League was expanding. They wanted to offer golf. That was a success. So then they bought Sand Barons Golf Course, which is a 27-hole facility where a lot of people have shore homes down at the beach. That's been a success. So then they bought another one out in the suburbs of Philadelphia. So now the three kind of combine for us to have, Torresdale is an old Donald Ross in the Northeast. So if you're downtown and you're an executive or young business person, that kind of is that hub. It's like a Beverly of Chicago. It's the place where people will go really play classic golf. Then as they move out to the suburbs, have a family, we have Liberty Hill out there. We're getting ready to build a ballroom there and a resort style pool. And then when they have a shore house, there's Union League National down at the beach. So it's different than most standard simple golf clubs, and a lot of moving parts between the three.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, you're not a typical director of agronomy or something like that. You're more of like a regional agronomist. I mean, because you've got a lot of space between your golf courses.
Yeah, it's busy.
Yeah, it takes an hour and a half to get to Liberty Hill, like an hour and 15 to get to Torresdale. And then Torresdale and Liberty Hill are both within the city, or both close to the city. But usually with traffic, it takes an hour to get from one of those to the other. So fortunately, Liberty Hill has a hotel there. So I can shoot up, stay a night in the city, hit both the golf courses, one on the day in, one on the day out. And travel time usually isn't too terrible away from, the family, the kids, the sports, and all that.
It sounds like a pretty good setup.
It's more of director of chaos. Like we have
Nice.
three really good superintendents. And so I don't have to mess with the day-to-day, spray sheet scheduling. It's how can we get the projects aligned? How can we get those in the timeline we need to best serve the membership? What infrastructure changes do we need to have in place as they look at acquiring new properties? Like they bought a bar down in Avalon last year. And all of a sudden we had to zip down there with our team and do the landscaping and fencing. And so those superintendents, Pat's down at National, he takes on extra projects all the time. John's been at Liberty Hill for 42 years now. He's been at the same property, which is wild to me. I mean, 8 to 10 years is a pretty long stint right now as a superintendent. He's done 4 times that. And then Andrew Dooley's at Torresdale, and he's helping. We're building a new shop there, and he's getting ready for Andrew Green coming in 2029. So,
Oh, nice.
if I can just come in there, stay out of their way, help facilitate, help grow the staff at the entry level, help the assistants, make sure they're ready to move on, getting everybody to conferences, having our own conference. I'm more of a supporting role to 3 different guys than telling them everything they need to be doing. It's not my style. It's not our leadership style, our training style anyway.
You're going to have to get that on a business card. Director of Chaos. That's good. The DOC. So, Scotty, take us back. Dakota, Illinois. One of the funnier things, probably more unintentional, but funnier things I've read on the questionnaire. Dakota, Illinois, 500 people and a 50-to-1 cow to human ratio. That's unreal.
I just made that up, but it's basically in the middle of nowhere. It's a farming community. Everybody knows everybody. So when I told my parents I wanted to go to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, they're like, "What?" I didn't even have an apartment lined up. I just knew I wanted to go study turf, and I was going to go to school there. And out of that little small community, I mean, they've had a couple guys have gone into the pro world, one of them being my brother. So my dad doesn't play golf. We grew up in a small farming community, and all of a sudden my brother's the golf pro at the country club in Cleveland, and I'm, a superintendent. So little odd. That's coming crazy. Out of that small town, but
that is crazy. So talk about your path into the industry then. How did you find it, and what made you want to go down to Horry, Georgetown to pursue this career?
So I was in architect classes in high school, and I thought this would be fun. So I went to the local community college because everybody needs to go to college, So I was like, yeah, I'll go study CAD. I like that computer work. It was interesting to me. And as I was sitting there in class, I couldn't wait to get out of class to go work at the golf course. And it sort of dawned on me as I'm not a sit still person. Like sitting there at a computer for 8 hours a day wasn't for me. So as I was sitting there, I was like, I can't do this forever. And so then my brother was actually at Mississippi State, and he was doing an internship at the old farm in Bristol, Virginia. So I went to go visit him, and getting out of my small town, we didn't fly much. We usually drove everywhere. So I jumped on a plane and went to visit my brother, and he set me up with the superintendent to ride around with him. And he was talking to me about different schools and how he got to where he's at. And he told me about Horry, Georgetown. And, it was a small program at the time, and it's a technical college. So as long as you have a pulse, you get in. And I was like, that's perfect. I can,
one of those.
I can,
right up your alley. Let's go.
I can go down there, and I'm a hands-on learner. So I don't like reading books. I want to see something in the field and understand it. So the program down there, Monday through Thursday, you're in school, and every afternoon you have a lab. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're working on a golf course. And if you can't find a job at a golf course when there's 100 of them around, you probably don't need to be in the industry. So it was nice for me to be able to learn something in school Monday through Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, incorporate it into what we were doing out on the course.
I'm glad you mentioned your learning style there. We've talked about that on the show before. And, what advice would you have for people maybe a little hesitant to go to school because they aren't, that book smart kind of person? They're more hands-on.
I mean, if you talk to a lot of superintendents, they weren't top of their class. usually the people who do well on the superintendent side, when I go into the high schools and I talk to students around here, I say, listen, I don't want your A and B students. Give me your C students. People in general are usually either book smart or street smart. Most people are not bad at both. Most people are not good at both. You're either one or the other. So the heavier street smart people usually find their way to success at the superintendent level. Not saying book smarts aren't important, but from what I've seen, it's usually the people who can, hey, if I did this, it worked, it didn't work. Here's how I could do something. They learn on the job. So I wouldn't be, just find a school that fits what you're looking for.
You talked about it a couple of times about growing the staff, and you just mentioned going into high schools and asking for C students and stuff like that. You're huge on getting out there, promoting this industry, growing the industry, whether it's your staff or someone else's staff. What's kind of driven that out of you and wanting to get out there and get people involved?
What I kind of realized in Chicago, we had pretty long winters there. So we were trying to find staff, and we were putting ads out in gyms. We went to local fire stations and just told them about the career. And there was a program there that they were doing, a Shark Tank program, and they needed some teachers or people in the professional world to kind of help them. And so we would go in and help these kids develop these Shark Tank ideas and bring them to market. And I volunteered to do that. And I really got to be in the school and talk to some of the students. And we ended up hiring some of them. And all of a sudden I was like, they're not going to find us on Indeed. They're not going to find us. We actually have to go out and tell the story and talk to people about it. And the other big aha moment for me was Pat Hawkey, our growing superintendent at the time down at National. He had worked at Marion, and he's a very straight shooter. So me and him have a lot of good, honest conversations and bicker back and forth and argue back and forth about dumb things and laugh about it. And we have that kind of relationship that we get along well. And he came in the office the one day and he's like, why do the assistants not come in with a solution? They're always coming to me with a problem. And as I was sitting there, they were talking about the Super Scratch Foundation. And I was like, I don't know if I have time to go up to that. We have a lot going on. And I was like, you know what? Why are we not doing more of this kind of stuff? Like every superintendent event you go to, people sit around and complain about there's no assistance, there's no this, there's no that. But it kind of made me just say, you know what? Stop complaining about it and let's figure out a way to get past it and work through some things. And I go into 6 high schools a year now, and that's a fun thing for me, is going in and talking. Sometimes it's a horticulture class, sometimes it's an environmental science class. I told them, I said, any students you can put me in front of, I don't care who it is. I just want to talk to them about how do you go about finding something you enjoy doing, whether it's turf, whether it's, the first couple of times I did it, I went in and probably bored those kids to death talking about details of turf. And what I found is if you just go in there and talk to them about what aspects of their summer job do they like and how they could take those aspects of their summer job and find something that they enjoy. Is it being around people? Is it math aspects? Even if it's writing up tickets for a restaurant and giving people change and the interaction of walking up to a table, or do you want to be the person in the back stocking shelves? Do you want to be the kid that's just helping at a local community center? Usually people want to give back, be outside, or they find a profession based on someone that they know that did that. And I just feel like we need more as a society. I feel like we need more training at that level. So if I can go in and talk to the students about how do you go about finding that thing that you enjoy, and then once you do find it, go at it 100%.
We are back with another Ask the Agronomist segment featuring PhD agronomist Tony Goldsby from the Andersons. Our question today comes in from our friend Richard. Through the keeper's eye, what does Dr. Tony think the most effective treatment is for wasps and ground bees that burrow in the turf and the bunkers?
Well, thanks again, Adam, for having me on the show this week, and thanks again for all the great end user submissions that we're continuing to get. And this one's definitely a little tricky, right? So those stinging insects that we mentioned here are especially tricky because they don't just annoy golfers when we're out there, but potentially they can also be a real safety risk on the course, right? So, in my experience, the most effective strategy when we're dealing with stinging insects is going to be a combination of control and prevention. And you kind of already talked about it. Treatment. There's a lot of things out there where you can do spot treating with burrows. With a labeled insecticide, there's a variety of them that are going to have wasp and ground bees on there that for that type of treatment. And first step, right? Make sure that you're doing it typically during the evening, and that's when that activity is going to be the lowest. So it makes it safer for you or your crew to be out there applying these things, to make sure that you're getting those spot sprays under control. But also equally, if maybe not even more important, is really addressing the conditions that attract those kind of stinging insects to those areas of the course. And unfortunately, exposed, sandy, or compacted areas where they can dig is where they love. And I think I pretty much just described a golf bunker, right? So by design, it's going to be one of those cases where in bunkers especially, you really want to make sure that you're doing a good job of maintaining consistent sand depth and that, moisture can be reduced as best as it can be to kind of prevent that nesting area that they want. And then again, it's going to be, obviously doing that spot treatment to kill the insect, but also making sure that you're, making a habitat in those bunkers that's a little less inviting so they don't come back and create the burrows again. But yeah, great question. And, definitely something that you want to get a handle on before you got members getting any type of insect stings and coming in with those types of issues.
Nice. So I do have a follow-up question, and I think it's one that a lot of people had when you were mentioning spraying in the evening. That's not always possible sometimes. So do you think it being an early morning thing or maybe a midday thing if you're trying to plan that while you're at work?
That's actually a great, follow-up question, right? Because sometimes when we think about making any type of recommendation, we don't always think about all of the things that go into, time management around the course and is that really feasible? So yes, I mean, although that's ideal, and I think, when we talk about sprays in general, especially during the evening, you tend to have less pollinators out too, right? And, when we're talking bees, right, that's obviously another big high kind of profile insect that, again, a lot of people have trouble discerning between bee types, right? So just making sure that you're out there when you can be, and again, ideally, not impacting any other pollinators that may be out, visiting other trees and things in the area. And typically, you're going to kind of see that less during the evening. Things are going to kind of be where they're going to be, and they're not going to be out flying around. But again, if that just doesn't work, and like I said, you are always time crunch, right? Like you got to manage it the way that you can, and again, I think just trying to keep your crew safe, and then ideally, the members is ultimately got to be the biggest piece in the back of your mind. So whatever time of day you can fit that into your program is going to be better than just letting them kind of rule the bunker, if you will.
Awesome. Great answer. I love that. This wraps up another Ask the Agronomist segment featuring Dr. Tony Goldsby from the Andersons.
Talk about some of the success rates that you've had going into the high schools and stuff like that over the years.
I was actually talking to Craig not too long ago because out at Chicago Golf Club, he had a couple of those people that when I hired them, they were sophomores in high school, and then I left, and they ended up getting into turf after I left. And you see, there's two kids that I helped get caddy jobs at Chicago Golf Club. One of them's down in the PGM school, and one of them just played in the Junior Ryder Cup. So just being able to open kids' eyes, whether it's turf or outside of turf, just to the golf industry in general, to me is they're not going to magically find us. We have to go get them. And now we have Mike Elliott as our head mechanic. He was at Pine Valley for 12 years. He loves teaching people. So how can we take that and take some of these younger kids that might have a knack for the auto industry or work on their own dirt bikes or even bicycles at home? How can we now bring them into the shop and show them a different side again, everybody complains that there's no mechanics out there. Is anybody actually doing something about it? You know, I'm still shocked that the associations, the universities, like there's not a heavier equipment managers training program. There was a couple and they faded away. I'm surprised that we haven't brought those back.
You invest a lot. I mean, you not only do you go out there and look for students to bring in and train them up or whatever, but you do a lot of I guess improvement classes, self-improvement and stuff like that for your own team, including that winter seminar. Talk about some of the things you do to empower your staff and to help them grow as individuals and professionals.
When we bought Liberty Hill, it used to be the Ace Club in Philadelphia, and there's a 125 bedroom hotel and 30 conference rooms. So I'm spoiled in that regard. We can say, hey, we can host our own turf conference, but a lot of the conferences you go to, you have to get credits for pesticides, like licenses and all that. And you have to get X amount of continuing education. I wanted to focus more on leadership and development. So when you come in there, it's our mechanics, it's our horticulturists, it's our assistants, it's our superintendents. And we actually let the assistants put it on, and I was like, what do you want to learn about? And I'm gonna force you to do some leadership things, but other than that, what can the entire group benefit from, and how can we bring all of our employees together? And then we invite other golf courses near us. And it's always funny too, because I think last year we had, a couple public golf courses right down the road. And then you have a Marion or an Agronomy or a Saucon Valley, like the big clubs. And then you get middle of the road, and you want to hear all aspects. You want to open our employees' eyes to different aspects of the industry that are out there, let them network with all sorts of different type of people. And, I think that understanding of what a public golf course goes through that doesn't have the budget, and then resort courses and low end private, to me, is still the hardest job out there. They have the expectations of every private club because a member first got in there, but they don't have the resources that the bigger clubs do. So you're still in the gauntlet of having a board or committee, but don't have the resources that the bigger clubs do. I still think that's the toughest road, superintendent wise.
That's certainly got to be difficult. Scott, I quickly just wanted to go back to you, going into schools and talking to kids and stuff. And it's great to hear there's some success both with turf and other things. But when we are talking about the turf industry, I'd love to know what the pushback is when you talk to kids about what we do. Is it the early mornings, the pay, the stigma? Like, what is it?
The pay really doesn't come up, to be honest with you. Most summer jobs for a high school kid pay about the same. They want to know what the placement is, how easy it is to find a job. The hours, that's where people's eyes are like, yes or no. Cause either you're a morning person or you're not.
Right.
And some of that, yeah, you get some pushback. We started a program with the First Tee of Philadelphia. We ran it through this year, and it was just, again, my brain driving from course to course doesn't shut off. So I was like, why do all these kids get into caddying? Why does every first tee of, doesn't matter, San Antonio, Kansas City, Chicago, first tee of everything, they send kids to caddy? Whether they know anything about golf, have any understanding of what they're doing, let's go make you a caddy. And it clicked to me. I'm like, they have 1,000 people in their database. If we can't help recruit at that level, when you have 1,000 people getting the message, there's got to be a few of them that would say, wow, I would rather be outside. I'm not good at school. I learn better hands-on experience. So The first tee of Philadelphia has been great. They had a 2-day training program that they ran at their one golf course. We had 4 students come out of it. We went to the local association, to different superintendents, and just said, hey, can you take on a student? And eventually that's going to be a slow growing program, but eventually that will yield more people having exposure to the golf course as well. I know the GCSAA has been working with the FFA, so that gets more of your future farmers of America, your rural kids, but what are we doing in cities? So I think if we can hit on the first tee aspect and then hit on the FFA aspect, we can make some strides.
I'm glad you mentioned that first tee program, and you kind of touched on it just a little bit about what it is, but talk specifically about, what that greenkeeper pathway program looks like. How did it come to be? What were those conversations with the first tee and so forth?
It was actually Andrew Mason from the Super Scratch Foundation is on the board at the first tee as well. So I was talking to him
Does he have
about
a
it.
day job? Seems like he's just always doing all these volunteer activities.
I get a lot of emails from him early in the morning and late at night. But he's on the board, and there's a guy, Bill Corcoran, who was with Ventrac. Now he's with Baroness, and he is on the board at the first tee and very involved. So him and I talk a lot, and he told me, he's like, yeah, I mean, I think we could take this to him and talk to him. And, they were very open to it and very much, they run 2 golf courses for the city of Philadelphia. So they need help as well. So why not take some of these kids and expose them to anything that we can do that is golf related? A lot of things have just been focused scholarship wise, and sending kids to golf courses has all been caddy based previously. I'm not sure why, but I just thought, man, if we could tap into that a little bit and expose these kids to what we do, I think some of them would find that pathway. And 4 kids last year, they worked out perfectly fine. I don't know if they want to go into turf school, but if we can keep that going, hopefully we get 20 to 30 kids next year, because we started it late. If we advertise it a little bit better and get it out there, I think that's a viable, good option for the future.
Yeah. So is it kind of like First Green style where you talk about, STEM type stuff, or is it literally introducing them and showing what you guys do on a daily basis?
So it was a call where they sent out an email and said, hey, we're going to have a call about this different career. And they gave them a little bit of insight. They actually used your video that you did for the Philadelphia Superintendents Association, where you interviewed people and had them talk about the job. And then we took that and just said, okay, how many of you think this is something you would want to try? So I think there was 10 kids that came, and 4 of them that went through 2 days of training that said, yeah, I want to do this all summer. And it was funny because a couple of them were caddying last year and they weren't getting as many loops. So when they came out to the golf course, they were like, this is fun. It's consistent. We know our schedule, and it was good.
It's still great getting people into the game, but I do think it's a little silly to say you don't understand the game, but we're going to teach you to be a caddy. Like, it's like saying you're going to referee this basketball game, even though you don't know the rules. But they are getting people into the industry, which is good. And if you get people to fall in love with the golf course and the culture there and everything, and then they see that there's other work going on, trying to grab kids from those positions, I think that's great.
It has a lot of space to grow. I think it's a no-brainer, but it takes some legwork and some people that want to do it. And again, I don't have to do as much of the day-to-day, so I can branch off and have meetings like this and jump in with the first tee and try to help them.
Absolutely.
Hey, this episode of Turf Today is brought to you by Stainer Golf Company. Employee owned and made in the USA, we are always looking ahead. For 2025, we've launched more than 20 brand new products to assist in your job both on and off the course. Stainer Golf has been trusted since 1910 with cups, flag sticks, flags, bunker rakes, and so much more. Check out what's new at stainergolf.com. Stainer Golf, because your course deserves the best products with the best customer service and always on-time delivery. From all of us at Stainer Golf, we appreciate all your hard work in making golf one of the best sports in the world. Now back to Turf Today.
I know before Brian and I were talking a little bit about the Super Scratch, and we definitely wanted to dig into that today with you. I don't know if you want to just take us back to the beginning. I know you talked about it briefly there before, but just kind of give us an overview and where it's at today.
Yeah, that was another thing that kind of happened at that same aha moment. There was a group of members at Huntington Valley that wanted to have a golf tournament at their golf course and a good amateur event. And they said, why is it always pro-ams? Why are there no superintendent amateurs? Because they were friends with some superintendents and said, you guys always just fly under the radar. So they got a few guys together and they were talking to them more, and they were talking about the shortage. Obviously, it's a hot topic at any superintendent event you go to. And they said, well, why don't we just raise a little bit of money and give away some scholarships? So they had raised $1,500 and they gave it, whoever got first place, and I think there was 10 groups playing golf. Whoever got first place got to give it to whatever school they wanted. So that way these guys are bantering back and forth, and everybody takes pride in where they go to school. And so that made it fun. And I think it was $10,000 is what they gave back by year 3. And that's when I started talking to them, and they were all excited about the 10,000. And I was like, guys, we just had the PGA Works Championship, which most people haven't even ever heard of, an HBCU college event, and we raised $95,000. And so then we started walking through, well, how did we do that? How do you think we could do it? And to me, we're still just on the cusp of actually getting to the members. Everything we do is cannibalization in this business. We go to the vendors and ask them for money, and then our prices go up on stuff, and the members end up paying for it anyway. Why not go directly to the members and talk about the shortage and talk about the solution? And if you can say, hey, here are the things we are doing to get kids into the industry. Now, how can we keep them in the industry? It's a pretty easy story to tell to a membership. You see a lot of these jobs opening now that a superintendent job might have 6 or 7 applicants to it. Now it's starting to affect the general membership. And more importantly is how is it going to affect public golf in the future? A lot of golf courses, the price people will pay is about the limit right now. So how do we keep people coming in, keep the golf courses in as good a shape as possible without having someone there to maintain it and having that job force in place? How is that going to be sustainable 10 years down the road? So it affects all different levels. And people will say, oh, we're at a big club. We'll help anybody that comes to our course through school. Yeah, we do too. I think we've put 7 people through turf school now in 5 years.
Nice.
And that's great. But how do you get to the kids that grew up in Dakota, Illinois? And how can they afford the cost of school right now? They're at a public golf course. How can you get them into the field and they're going to be an intern or an assistant at a bigger club? If you talk to, I would say 75% of superintendents, if not higher, I'd be interested if you sent out a poll, how many of you worked at high-level private clubs as your first job? How many of you was that your intro to the industry?
You're right. It's very, very few.
Everybody that I know started at a place where there was a superintendent. He might have had one assistant, and they relied heavily on the younger workforce to do jobs other than raking bunkers and weed eat and the monotonous work. And once you felt that empowerment and somebody gave you, you knew your responsibility was very important, you took ownership of it even more, and you grew as a person and your confidence level grew. And that's when you said, hey, I really want to do this. Most people don't walk into a course with 6 assistants, 5 interns, and flourish and say, wow, I really want to go to turf school, percentage wise.
Going to the clubs, you mentioned it's, raising awareness on the membership side of things. How have you seen Super Scratch Foundation, I guess, deliver that awareness to the clubs in the area?
So we've had a couple courses. Lanark, right down the road from Marion. Brendan Byrne is the GM there. He was the superintendent there for a long time. He really started the take it to the whole club instead of just, hey, each club will donate a little bit of money. He's the one that actually went to the membership and said, hey, they donated $10 a member. So they donated the cost of a beer, and it was $5,500, $6,000. If you had 10 clubs in each major metropolitan area do that, you'd have $1 million.
It adds up.
You'd be able to fund most of the kids in turf programs across the U.S. in some capacity. So another Rolling Green came to us and said, hey, we want to give $1 per cart round. You know, that's a good little chunk of money, and $1 per cart round doesn't hit people's wallets hard. It's just, how can you raise awareness? People at clubs need tax write-offs. And when you look at the amount that is donated to caddy scholarships, the Jaywood Platt and the Evans, I mean, a lot of these clubs are donating a couple $100,000 each through their members to these foundations. And those things are great. There's a lot of kids that those programs have helped out a lot, but a lot of those kids are getting out of golf. You know, there's some that are going the golf pro route. There might be some superintendents in there too. When you talk about what we're doing and how it's going to help their golf courses be sustainable in the future, it's a pretty easy message to send.
You mentioned Andrew Mason earlier. When you have those conversations with a guy like Andrew Mason or some of those other club members, you know, before you have that conversation with them, how aware and then how shocked are they to hear about the shortage and some of the issues that you guys are dealing with?
Usually people do not understand the shortage. And a lot of that is superintendents, our industry in general. We are very good at, when there's a problem, we'll put our heads down and work and overcome it. And you'll rally the troops that you have and you'll find a way to get it done. We're not as good at communicating. We're not as front facing as, you know, general managers and golf pros. And so we tend to just figure out a way. But once you stop and actually start talking to green committees and membership in general about it, people want to help. They have a lot of pride in their own golf course. They have a lot of pride in the industry. It's just hard because usually the membership doesn't know what you do for a living. They know what you produce, but there's not a lot of good conversations that are had while someone is out playing golf. They usually don't have time to talk about a whole lot because they're trying to, you know, pace of play. So can you catch them outside of that and have a good conversation with them? But when you go too far into detail about what you do for a living, it loses people anyway. So this is one of those easy conversations that you can talk about the shortage and talk about the solution, and people want to help once they know.
So Scott, you're starting to see some of these younger people or people that are new to the industry coming in. Are there some good qualities you're starting to see, or some things you really like when you see some of these up and comers?
I like how tech savvy they are. Like, I pick up on things and have them help us with stuff. And people will say the younger generation doesn't want to work. And honestly, it's complete BS. We have people that'll grind 70, 80 hours with us when we need to. They don't want to do a job. I feel like at least my generation, I'm older than you probably, but my generation, we didn't care what the job was. They want to feel a little more important about the job that they're doing because they want to post pictures of it on social media and they want to brag to their friends about it, which it's perfectly fine. We weeded a creek bank, and when we got done with it, we'd start on the other side of the creek bank. and that was my intro to golf. I think with cell phones and technology, I think their minds just think differently, and the attention span isn't there. So I think changing up jobs and exposing them to new things gets them more excited than anything else. So as long as you understand their generation and what their goals to success are, and having conversations with them, I think there's a lot of good young people coming up in the ranks, and it's exciting to see that kind of change.
Back to Super Scratch for a minute. You talked about the growth, and started out just giving 1,500, that first year, and now kind of projected to give about 150,000 this year. Talk about the growth, where it is now, and then I know there's some plans for expansion next year. Talk a little bit about some of the stuff that lies ahead for Super Scratch.
Yeah, so I mean, we've had once we started taking it outside of Philadelphia, I'm the person that doesn't care about the golf out of the group. I just want to help kids.
Yeah.
I don't care about the actual tournament format. How can we get kids the help that they need? So we're having regional events to open it up outside of Philadelphia. Because if you're going to ask people for money, members at clubs, and then they can't play because you can only fit 40 teams into Huntington Valley, that deters people. So we're going to host some regional events. We had one at PGA West last year. Brian Stromey and Brian Sullivan were awesome to help us get that first one going. And now we have one in California. We're doing one up at Blue Mountain, Wisconsin. John Riley down at Longboat Key Club has been awesome in trying to have one down there and raise awareness in Florida. So we think we'll have 6 different regional events where people can qualify for the national to make it a true. It allows more people to be involved, but also keeps the amateur event what they want it at Huntington Valley. So the top players are going to be the top players. They're going to be the ones that get to come to Huntington Valley. But if you want to go next year, we're trying to have one at Lanark in Philadelphia. If you want to go to Lanark with a 15 handicap and that's the person that you want to bring and spend a day with, that's fine. You're just not going to go to the championship, but you can still come out and enjoy a day of golf with that person, with that member at the club that you wanted to, and be around all the other superintendents and members at a club. So that growth has been huge. As we did that, when you start talking about spreading nationwide, we had Toro, Simplot, Florentine jump in and say, hey, we want to be a part of all of them. So they jumped in big time as national sponsors. All 3 companies have been jumped in headfirst with us. And we said, listen, we're a bunch of volunteers trying to get this out there. Eventually we want to hire somebody to run it and be a little more tidy and communicative with the people that are playing. But right now, I mean, I sit at my computer at 9-10 o'clock at night trying to get out emails for the foundation. Like, we're doing this on our own time when we can. I think it would be, it's going to be a lot better organized in the future. And we all know we're going to get there. But right now it's, how can we get kids into turf immediately? How can we help students? How can we grow the industry, grow the game?
I guess my only question for that would be, where does it go next? Like, do you guys have bigger plans to keep going and keep building, and you want to bring it to Canada at some point, something like that?
Oh, we haven't thought about the Canada aspect. Nobody from Canada has reached out yet.
Well, I'm reaching out right now, man.
We can go anywhere. It could go overseas. It could go anywhere. I mean, it's a pretty simple concept of raising awareness about what we do as a profession and how can we get kids into the industry and how can we be on par with other avenues that clubs give to for scholarships, saying, hey, this is pretty self-serving. It's going to help you in the future. So it's getting to the amateur golf side, getting awareness on that end.
Yeah, it's awesome. I can't wait to get out there next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. I was there in Philly last year for the event, and then obviously at PGA West, and just such a cool gathering of superintendents plus the amateurs, and you guys have done a phenomenal job. So can't wait to get out there next week and be a part of it. So talk, if you could. I know you guys have had obviously have helped a lot of people through Super Scratch recently. Just talk about kind of how you guys go about allocating funds, what you're looking for in your scholarship recipients then.
So it gets a little tough again with nobody running the association or the foundation.
That's a problem.
It gets a little challenging. Like, how much time do you put into finding the right person, and how do you judge just by a paper who needs help? So many times we reach out to the university. The professors are all tied in and tight knit like we are, and you have good relationships with them. So you say, hey, help kids that are going to be in the industry, number one. Help kids that give some merit based, because those are the kids that are going to rise to the top if they're the hardest workers to get. You can usually tell who's going to be successful in the business at a young age, and then give some based on need. I mean, we've had 2 years in a row now, we've had professors reach out and say, hey, this student was with us the last 2 years. They just lost a parent. And those calls hit home hard. So you're like, you think you have a tough day, and these kids just lost a mom or dad, and their income just went down significantly. That day of giving the student a scholarship this year, Toro jumped in right away and said, hey, we'll give our $5,000 scholarship that we get to donate right to the student that just lost, their dad. And that was the most rewarding day of my year. Had nothing to do with anything we did out on a golf course. We got to jump on a phone call with a kid who had just lost his dad and say, hey, we're giving you $5,000 to help with school next year.
That's incredible.
So that kind of stuff, we like doing those more when we know somebody is really in need. But just when you're talking about giving away $150,000 to 15 different schools, I think that's a hard thing administratively to do. We sent out an application process, and I didn't realize how many students were on Penn State Worldwide campus. There's 400.
It's a lot.
400.
So since it was my bright idea to make it a scholarship process, I volunteered to go through all of the applicants and get a baseline down to send out to a committee that we had formed, so they weren't trying to shuffle through every one of them. But there was anybody who sent something in, I at least wanted to have a connection with them and write back to them. But that process takes a lot of time when there's 400 students. And I mean, not all of them applied, but I bet we had 60 or 70 from that one. We were giving away two $2,500 scholarships. But it's cool when you start to read people's stories and you start to connect with them and you start to understand what different people are going through, and how you can help and be a part of it is rewarding from my standpoint.
It's got to be tough to decide on two winners when you have that many applicants and probably that many people that, deserve to be there.
It was hard, but that's why it was good for me. They had a grading scale of 1 to 10 in different categories, and I just sent it along to them and said, give me your feedback.
There you go.
Delegation on that one helped. I did heavy lifting on the front, but middle of it, I had other people that were just, hey, grade these and tell me what you think.
Team effort. Big flash of lightning just went by, so we'll do our lightning round presented by Flash Weather AI. Your heads up before the skies light up. Just a few quick ones here for you, Scott. If you could remove one pest from turf grass, what would it be?
Annual bluegrass weevil.
The weevil.
Just because they started eating bent grass. If they only ate POA, I'd be okay with them. But once they eat bent, they're on my crap list.
Fair enough. Do you usually hire for skill or attitude?
Attitude, 100%.
Yeah, that's big in our industry. What do you find motivates your crew or team more, feedback or food?
Oh, I think those are equally as good. I'm a big fan of filling the freezer with ice cream on
Oh,
summer days. You can fit about 20 boxes of ice cream from Dollar General or Aldi that doesn't break the bank, and they will come in and eat it first thing in the morning. You see a guy at 4:30 in the morning eating ice cream. How many people have you ever seen in your whole life that are angry eating ice cream?
yeah, it doesn't happen.
Zero.
That time of day. I'm laughing because I've seen it happen. I can picture the guy sucking on the big freezy during the morning meeting. Just like, God. All right. Would you rather grind through a hard tournament week or a hard renovation week?
I don't know if there is a hard tournament week other than if it rains. The week before the tournament is probably worse than anything.
Yeah, could be.
Renovation is tough, but it's so much fun. So it depends on what you're doing.
Yeah,
I
it's true.
that one's a hard one
That's a
because
tough one.
we were just out at the Walker Cup, and grinding at the Walker Cup isn't a bad thing.
You guys are grinding off the course there.
You almost fell into the Pacific Ocean. It was close.
Yeah, I probably my wife would have been happy. She's sitting behind me right now,
That's funny.
rolling her eyes. I told her
Um,
with life insurance, I'm worth more dead than alive. So
That's what I
Oh
tell
my
my wife
goodness.
that all the time.
Couple more from you here. Favorite time of day to be on the golf course?
it used to be first thing in the morning. Now I think it's late at night. I'll take my kids out and we'll play golf late at night. And we live right on the golf course. So sunsets on the golf course are, I used to think sunrises, and now that you get to spend them with your kids out on the golf course, I think sunsets.
Love it. Last one here. If you weren't working in turf, what would you be doing?
Probably an OnlyFans model.
Are you
See,
feet or
most
hands?
likely.
Feet or hands?
Got the bald head and everything.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm sorry. I'm surprised I can't hear your wife in the
Yeah.
background, just
She
cracking up.
approve or-
her face just got extremely bright red. Now, I there's a funny joke behind that, but well, I won't go there. But the probably taking care of a baseball field. I'm
Okay.
a huge baseball fan, so ideal job would be Wrigley Field and just sit there and watch Cubs games. And
Sleep at the office in Wrigley Field. Yeah, good.
it's a grind. I know it's a hard schedule for those guys, but I just the ballpark is like a magical place for me.
Yeah, it does something special to you. Out on the course, every decision counts. You can plan, you can prepare, but there's one thing you'll never control: the weather. Until now. Flash Weather AI doesn't just predict storms, it sees them coming. Down to the minute, down to the exact corner of your property. Lightning, rain, heat, frost, you'll know before anyone else. This isn't a forecast, this is a foresight. This is real-time AI-powered protection for your team, your turf, and your tournament. Don't gamble with the sky, take control of it. Flash Weather AI, where precision meets power.
Well, I think people maybe have gotten a sense, especially based on that last OnlyFans answer, that you tend not to take things too seriously. How important do you think that is for what you do?
During construction, I didn't realize it because at a very young age, my parents were very good about putting life in perspective. And when something would happen, they're like, really? Is that the worst thing that could happen in your day? And so when you start to go through problems with that mindset, like, is that really, like, does that make a bad day? Like, you're going to forget about this in 10, 15 minutes. If that's the worst thing that happens in your day, is it really a bad day? So I just think if you take yourself too seriously about what we do, we're not curing cancer. There's bigger issues in the world. When things go wrong, it's fine. How are we going to figure it out? And we had a sales rep walk in the office when we were in the middle of construction. He's like, "This is the calmest construction crew I have ever seen." I was like, "Well, I mean, you're moving earth around, you're having fun, you're watching Dana and Jason create this masterpiece out on the golf course. Like, how bad could it be? Yeah, things are going to go wrong, but it's starting to look at things from a different lens." And I think the older you get and you see problems that other people have, you know, health wise, family wise, when something bad happens on a golf course and then you hear news about something else, you're like, yeah, that really wasn't a problem. You know, as long as people are safe and grass, you can figure out how to get it to come back.
That's a great point. Well, this has been a fantastic hour. We certainly want to be respectful of your time here. Is there anything you want us to talk about today? Anything you want to plug or mention?
I think I talked plenty for that.
If people want to get involved with Super Scratch, Scott, how can they get more information?
Superscratchfoundation.org, or if you look in the GCSA website, look for Scott Bordner, reach out to me. Class B, highlighted in the Class B section.
We won't go into that, Scott.
There's a story there. Well, I guess we'll leave it alone though.
Yeah,
I'm not going down that path, but
yeah.
just reach out. Anybody who wants to help, we love having different level courses involved, different people involved. I mean, to me, there's a lot of people who want to help in this industry and a lot of people who give back in some form or fashion. So if you feel like this is your thing to give back in and want to be a part of it, we'd love to have you be a part of it.
Awesome. Well, Scott, appreciate your time. Like I said, can't wait to see you out there next week. It's going to be a great few days there for the Invitational, and yeah, just appreciate everything you're doing for this industry. You're doing a lot.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys having me on and helping spread the word about different things that we're doing. So yeah, thank you. Look forward to seeing you.
Keep up the great work, Scott. We really appreciate you giving us some time today.
Thank you.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Take care, guys.
See you, Scott.
I was not ready for an OnlyFans comment.
He's a beauty, isn't he?
That was good.
He's a beauty.
He said probably an OnlyFans model.
That's what I love about him. I mean, we didn't even really get into too much of his path really to Union League, but I mean, he's been at some top tier clubs. I mean, before Union League, he was at Chicago Golf Club. And then you got a taste of his personality right there, especially at the end. He doesn't take things too seriously. He's obviously very good at what he does. Otherwise he wouldn't be in that position. But yeah, I mean, just that mindset of it's just grass. We're here to have fun. We're here for however many hours every week. So, let's enjoy this time. And I think that says a lot for the talent he's able to get to come and work with him at Union League, and how he's able to entice other people to get involved as well. I think that attitude goes a long way for sure.
Him being kind of I don't want to say hands-off leader, but he's kind of at the top and he's more of just kind of managing things. And he says, you get the right people in place and they're doing their things. It makes his job a little bit easy, but the fact that he is that type of person, he can be such a great leader without having to yell and scream or tell people what to do. It just shows, how strong that organization is. And now that he's helping with things like First Tee and Super Scratch, when you have somebody at the helm like that being able to help, it's only going to make everybody stronger, and it's only going to want more people are going to want to be able to, join and help with stuff like that. So he's doing a great job. He's in a great spot. It sounds like, He's got a lot of travel time and might have some downtime and things, but when you do get to that top and you are that kind of high, you can't really be sticking your hands in too much. You just kind of got to do your thing, be a quiet leader, and lead by example and stuff. I think he's doing a great job, and that it's important for us to have people like that in our industry.
Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely going above and beyond to promote this business, to promote this industry, recruit as many, young talented individuals as possible. And, again, he does, like you kind of just touched on him, he does a wonderful job of empowering his team. Does that 2-day workshop every winter there at their facility at Liberty Hill. And I think, like you said, he has his assistants run it, so right there is giving them experience in organization and, putting the details and logistics together of an event, coordinating travel with speakers, just all those little ancillary tools that someone's going to need as they continue in their career. So it just really does a nice job of doing things a little outside the box, of preparing his team. And again, little things like that go a long way, and with on course performance then.
Super Scratch should just keep growing too. I don't
Oh
see why
man.
it doesn't just keep going from city to city and head overseas, come up to Canada. Like we're all trying to do the same thing and trying to help the same way. So there's a lot of people up here that want to support. There's probably a lot of people in different areas and different courses that want to be able to support their superintendents and turf staff and stuff. So it should just continue to grow for people.
Yeah, I think sky's the limit for that organization, really is. And I think the more superintendents that are willing to go and talk to their membership about it, talk about the issues in the industry, the lack of people in this industry, educate them on what they actually do. I mean, I think, even in this age of information, there's still not a ton of information about this profession. We just, Scott mentioned it, and he and I have had that conversation over beers multiple times. It's people just still don't understand what a golf course superintendent is, what a golf course superintendent does. And even, for golfers not to understand that just still blows my mind. But we don't do a good enough job of promoting ourselves and promoting what we do and the impact that superintendents have on the golf course. It's a club's biggest asset. That the people don't, in most instances, people don't join a country club because they make a great steak. They join a country club predominantly because of the golf course. They want to play golf, and making sure that we have those people there to care for them the best they possibly can is critical to the longevity of these courses and clubs around the world. So, Super Scratch is just one way that they're able to start that conversation and um, ultimately um, help people get into this industry and make sure that money is not an obstacle for them to stay out of it.
Yep, because we want to get the best people we possibly can, and
Yep.
more awareness. So
Yep.
it's very good. Well, I love that you're going to get to play some golf down there with those guys. That'll be fun. Because
Yeah. And my favorite format too, scramble. So my ball doesn't really matter.
that's because we're missing the golf event in Myrtle, unfortunately,
Yeah.
which is tough. But we were going to talk. We were hearing some rumblings about the GCSAA Golf Championships in Orlando this year. They're back to Champions Gate, which is fun. It's an awesome resort. And they also were playing a couple Disney courses too. I don't know if you saw
Yeah,
that or not.
I haven't seen the full lineup of the courses, but obviously it's a can't miss event every year. I think they expanded it again this year.
Gotta be. There's
Yeah,
five courses, two
yeah,
Disneys, the Palmer, and then the two Omnis. So
yeah.
yeah,
I
five
mean,
courses.
last year I think it sold out within a couple days of when they opened it up. So it'd be interesting to talk to the Toro folks and GCSAA folks here soon and find out where things are. Because yeah, man, it's register quickly or else you're missing out on a phenomenal event.
Yeah, it looks like the early birds, they change, but the early birds are coming up kind of November, December. So you want to be able to get in there. And then the prices go up, but it looks like there's
Yeah.
still openings on the website for most of the events. And I remember
Oh,
last year
good.
it was busy. There were a lot of
Yeah.
people. I remember that
Yeah.
fog delay on the third day. We were down there and everybody was standing around that first tee. It was so busy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It was a
I
packed
mean,
house.
like you're down on Torrey Pines just waiting to tee off. It's no big deal.
Not so
Like
bad.
it's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are worse things I could think of doing.
Yeah.
So
There was a few guys eating ice cream that morning. There's a few hungover folks for sure.
that never happens. What are you talking about? It's a
Yeah, yeah.
professional event.
That's right. No, this
Yeah.
one will be good if you've never done it. They're a lot of fun. It's not like it's $3,000, $4,000 to play in the tournament. It's only a couple $100 for per event. So you can play in one event, you can play in all the events. Doesn't matter your handicap. Just get down there, have some fun. You don't have to bring a partner or a group. You can sign up as an individual. You'll get to meet some people. It's a great way to network. Great. Like Brian said, it's a professional setting, but you also get to have a lot of fun and people kind of let their hair down a little bit. So if you
Yeah.
haven't done it yet or you haven't done it in a while, sign up.
Definitely don't want to miss it. Again, great golf, fun formats too. That's what I love about it. If you're not that competitive golfer that's vying for the national championship or something like that, the four ball is a great event, with handicaps, obviously it's open, very low pressure, just lean on your partner like I lean on you when we play. And
Well, we're not going to have Richard this year, that guy that made all the putts last year.
True. That's true. Well, that was scramble though, right? I mean, that's the other fun one, right? The scramble or
Yeah,
um,
that was the scramble. But yeah, we
yeah,
didn't use a single one of his shots all day, and he made every single putt.
yeah, that's right. That's right. That's low pressure. I love it. I love it. Probably used one of my shots on all 18 holes. That's fun. That's a
Yeah,
lot
well,
of fun.
we were out there for the beers. Let's be honest.
Well, we were out there solely for professional purposes. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about.
Solely. No, it's such a great event.
I've yet to meet a Mick Ultra I haven't enjoyed. So.
Yeah. Actually, you know what my favorite parts of those events are when it is busy on the course, but you end up meeting three groups on a tee and everybody's laughing at each other and joking about different things that have happened and stuff. Like it ends up getting out of control sometimes.
Oh, dude, it's the best. I love seeing a buddy, on the hole next to us and chirp at them. And then you get to the par three holes and a lot of the Toro representatives and distributors are hanging out there. It's always fun to reconnect with those guys. And yeah, man, it's a freaking blast. I can't wait.
Yeah. One of the highlights.
I'm excited about golf again too. I think I told you, I'm excited. So
okay, good.
Yeah. The majority of the year, man, I was dreading playing golf. Now I'm back in. I got my 911 lesson in me and I'm ready. I want to play.
He's ready. Nice.
Yeah.
That's good. That's what we want.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll change here in the next 2 months, but
it goes up and down, right?
That's right. Yeah, now the weather's starting to change here. So not that I've actually played much golf in Ohio. I think of my 7 rounds, 2 of them have been in Ohio. So
yeah. Well, my buddy and I, we've been playing together most of the summer. We just play Sunday mornings at 6 a.m. or whatever. And sometimes our other 2 buddies come out and we'll play a little 2-on-2. And it's like we just trade back and forth. One weekend they're great, one weekend we're great. And this past weekend, like we smoked them. I think we were 6 under through 18 holes, and that's a good day for the boys.
Nice.
But now we're going to Black Bear tomorrow, and we're gonna have to play these guys all weekend. And I feel like after last weekend, just handing it to them, we're in big trouble this weekend. That's just how golf goes, right? You can't just be great every time. Like
on a neutral site and everything too. So
it's gonna be fun.
Big.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm just worried about there being a little bit of a frost delay tomorrow because we're going to get down there early. And if it's cold, we might be hanging out at the shop with the boys, which nothing wrong with that.
No, couple extra coffees in the morning. You're good to go.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be fun. I'm going to bring my camera down and take some shots, get some stuff of us on the course, and just having fun. And
love it.
Yeah.
Love it. You're going to have a blast down there. Guys trips are always the best.
The texts came in yesterday though that the wives were starting to make comments. Right?
It's been on the calendar for months, honey. It's been on the calendar.
Yeah.
That's what I always get. It's been in the calendar. What are you talking about? Check your calendar.
And then if you don't put it in the calendar,
Oh,
boy.
dude. Oh, yeah.
Been there.
Yeah. It's our lives. All right, man. Well, we'll catch you here in a couple hours.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Have
Later.
a good one. Well, that's going to do it for another week for us. We have another good one coming for you guys next week. Sorry this was delayed. It was Thanksgiving. Ate a lot of turkey, a lot of pumpkin pie, maybe too much pumpkin pie. Had a ton of fun with the boys at Black Bear. Thank you again to everybody at that property, including Eric Van Gerwen, the superintendent. Hospitality was amazing. It's a property, if you're in Ontario or upper state New York or around there, ever planning a trip out that way, it's a cool one. So check out Black Bear Ridge. We have some cool stuff coming up, guys. We have the Toro giveaway that we are going to be announcing in the next couple weeks, so get ready for that one. And we are going to be at the show in the Carolinas coming up, Myrtle Beach, which I believe we're flying down November 17th. So we're really looking forward to that. People reach out to us, let us know if you're going to be there. It's going to be awesome to get to meet some folks. Going to be doing some giveaways and some interviews and getting to hang out too, because it's a great time to chat and meet people and network and all that fun stuff. So we can't wait to be there to support everybody. Brian and I get to be together, which we don't always get to do. So shout out to our sponsors for all of the amazing things they do. We have such a strong network of people working behind the scenes of this show, and it makes me so excited to think about all the stuff coming in the future. So stick with us, share the show with your friends, share the show with people in the industry. You know, whether you're somebody who listens to the odd episode or you're ready every week for it, we appreciate you as a fan. Give us a rating, give us a review, do what you can to move the show around, because as we've always said, you guys are the reason that we grow. You're the reason we do this. You're the reason the show is what it is and what Turf Today has become. It's not us. It's you. Love you guys. Have a great week. Keep those reels sharp.
I try so hard, but it's still on my mind. You and I, yeah. We push and pull, it's like we're stuck in time. But where are we going to? Everything we've been through, not ready to let it go. And I gotta let you know, we used to be so close, but now you're feeling far away when you need me the most. Oh, I'm trying, I gotta let you know, not ready to let this go. Locked inside, but you and I